Hare Krishna Prabhus and Matajis, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I am Sharmila and I will be your host for today. Before we begin the class, please allow me to recite the Mangla Charan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna Prabhus and Matajis. Today we have the pleasure of hearing the discourse from His Grace Hemarupa Prabhu from ISKCON GEV. His Grace is a well-known speaker in our academy and needs no introduction. So, without further delay, let's welcome His Grace to dive into today's topic. Hare Krishna, Your Grace.
Hare Krishna. So thank you all so much. Pleasure to be with you all again. Today's topic that we have for discussion is called Bhakti Liberates. It will be based on a verse from Bhagavad Gita in the 14th chapter, 26th verse, which how Krishna explains to Arjuna the power of Bhakti, the power and potency of Bhakti. Now, liberation is something which everyone who is intelligent wants. It is said that the desire for liberation is very rare. Sripad Adi Shankaracharya, in one of his works, he writes 3 things are very rare in this world. If you have 3 things, you must understand that you have the mercy of the Lord. He says 3 things are very rare. The first thing is Manushatvam. Manushvatvam means having a human body. If you have a human body, it is to be understood that that you are blessed. Second is Mahat Sangam, that you have the association of great devotees. You must be considered very blessed. Third, he says, is mumukshukam. If you have the desire to get out of this material world, that is also you must be considered very blessed. So, liberation or freedom, moksha, mukti, and there are so many words for it in our Sanatan Dharma. The desire for this is very rare. People generally like to live in this world, want to continue happily in this world, right? So let's look at how bhakti is so powerful that we can take us to the platform of liberation. So this is the verse that we are discussing. We'll just recite. Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Krishna tells to Arjuna, Mam chayo, whoever, yaha, yar, no, whoever does my avyabhicharini bhakti, bhakti yogena sevate, in a serving mode, serves me. But how is that service? Is it sometimes? Is it Mondays? Is it Wednesdays? Is it Fridays? It's just, once a week, twice a week, 5 days a week, holidays on the weekend. He says, no. Krishna says, whoever does bhakti or serves me lovingly, but avyabhicharini. Avyabhicharena means one who is very, very focused. Right? So there's another word in Hindi, avyabhicharini and vyabhichari. Vyabhichari sometimes means diverted. Vyabhichari sometimes means aggressive. Vyabhichari sometimes means prostitute. Vyabhichari. So avyabhichari means someone who's very chaste, and vyabhichari means someone who's not chaste. Right? If a person is a prostitute, they have so many masters or so many paramours. If a prostitute says, I love you, no one will take it very seriously. Right? Probably that's what they say every time anyone. But so Krishna says that, I want dedicated, resolute devotion, avyabhicharini bhakti. So Krishna says, Mam cho avyabhicharina. That means we should not two-time Krishna, two-time, three-time, whatever it may be, We should be very chaste in our devotion to Krishna. For such people who have very chaste devotion, unfailing devotion, as the translation says, sagunan samatityaitan. They cross over all the gunas. So all the gunas are the modes like goodness, passion, ignorance, sattvagun, rajagun, tamagun. They cross all this Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, and they become situated in supreme transcendence, what is known as Brahman, meaning they become so equipoised while being in this world, living in this world, being a part of this world, still they rise above the modes of this world. They're not disturbed by the dualities of this world, and they establish themselves in full transcendence. So Krishna says that this shloka, which is spoken by Lord Krishna, speaks about how, or the art of living in this world. Generally, we all become very frustrated, isn't it? Studies become frustrated. We pray, when I'll graduate. Work becomes frustrated. Oh, when I'll get a promotion, when I'll get a transfer, when I'll get a better job. This is all desire for mumukshu, desire for getting out. We want to get out of our city. We want to get out maybe of our country. We want to get out of our current position as a student, as a whatever it may be. We always want to escape, escape, escape. But the most intelligent person will realize that let me just get out of this sansar, this material world itself. Because wherever we are in this material world, it's just going to be the same thing. So that is Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, like that. So now, having spoken about the highest desire, the highest thing that a person can have, the faith that a person can have is avyabhicharini bhakti. That means very chaste devotion. Now let's look at different levels of faith. So what I'm going to present next is a very, very interesting. It is spoken by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur in his book, in a small book which he writes about Lord Jagannath, where he writes about there are 5 different levels of faith. So we're going to look at that. So first we see what is basically faithlessness. When people do not have any other faith, the only faith they have is in themselves, right? There are people who are very, they are very faithful in themselves. They trust their body, they trust their mind, they trust their intelligence. They're not bothered about anything else. So people who put faith in BMW, not the vehicle, body, mind, and words, plus IE. Nowadays BMW I something, right? So people put their faith in body, mind, words, intelligence, or ego. BMW IE. Maybe new series. I don't know. I'm not inventing. But anyways, people who put faith in this, they are people who are grossly identifying with the body. So it is a very low level, right? They're very gross of ignorance. They have no other faith of anything else. They have faith in their strength, their intelligence, their me. Higher than that are people who put faith in nature. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls such people, sorry. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls such people as materialists or materialism. These people have faith in energies or nature itself, right? You may call it black magic, white magic, you may call it, Shaktism is another word for it. They worship nature as God. It's like pantheism, animism, or pantheism basically, where they see the energy that is affecting. They see lifeless matter. They see energy instead of any individual. They don't see any individual. They see energy. They worship the sky. They worship the nature as a whole. Okay, sometimes call them as biophiles or biophilia, those who love nature, right? They worship nature. So they think at least beyond themselves, at least it's one step higher. We can give them some credit. They feel themselves very useless. They feel themselves very small. They feel nature is everything. But then again, these people who worship nature, there's no person, there's no form, there's no focus. It's just, the cosmic energy, the universal energy. They're on that level. Coming higher, Srila Bhaktivinoda mentions that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that higher than that are people who put faith in prowess, in power, in potency. So these are the people that look for some qualities in nature. For example, heat. They may worship the sun. They may worship fire. They may worship strength, right? So these are people who are called elementalists, right? He calls them elementalism. That means those who worship some element. So they worship that element, but ultimately it is that active element in lifeless matter. In dead matter, they're worshipping some active element, right? When they see the sun, they're focusing on the heat of the sun. When they see the river, they're focusing on the humidity or the wetness or the flow of the river. So they like some element, some prowess. In life also we see sometimes we are attracted to power, we are attracted to some object, but it is still impersonal. Higher than this, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, is the third level. Now he calls this as faith in some spirit. And he calls this by the word fetishism. So this is a new word to me. I just saw, what is this? So Google says fetishism is when you believe that an object has some supernatural powers, or particular man-made or human-made object, and you give it power. You attribute some value to it, like having a talisman or an amulet or something like that. So here, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that these are people who look at something which is even more powerful than just the active element. It's going all one step higher. Okay, materialism is those who look at the nature. Elementalism are those who look at some element, specific element in nature, like fire, water. And fetishism are those who look at something higher than an element, but non-human. Right? He says they look for some worship of the spirit. They realize there's some spirit. So this is basically like animism. Animism is those who see some wolf spirit, tree spirit, or some cat spirit, dog spirit. So they look at some form, but in a lower species or from animal species, and that becomes their object of worship. It's very interesting. But they're actually focusing on the life. All the earlier materialism and elementalism, it's all lifeless. It is just material elements, right? Nature itself is lifeless, jada. And then objects of it also lifeless. Earth, water, fire, they're just looking at that. Now, in faith in spirit, they are recognizing some life form has to be there, but it takes a very lowly shape. Okay. And then higher than that are those who put faith in what is known as man worship, human worship. Okay. They said that this is where the person worships the attributes of humanism. They may have faith in leaders, autocrats, kings, ministers, presidents, rishis, sadhus, right? They may have all this kind of faith, but some human form of worship. So it's going higher. And fifth, the highest of all, is God worship, where someone actually worships God. So these are the 5 stages: materialism, just worshipping nature; elementalism, where one worships one element like fire or heat; and fetishism, where one worships the spirit behind an object, but in a very lowly form, like an animal form or tree form. Human worship, when one sees the spirit in the form of a sadhu, rishi, sage, saint, leader, it comes like that. And highest is actually the real God worship, when one has faith in the supreme being. So we may see that, was I like this in my life? Probably it took us many lives to actually gradually upgrade or evolve our faith. And in today's society, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you can call it by any name, in any culture, everyone falls into these 5 levels, he says. Everyone falls into these 5 levels. Some people are worshipping nature, right? There are people who are tree whisperers. They like to talk to the trees. There are people who are sun worshippers. They'll say that I'm communicating with the sun rays. And there are people who, worship the rats and the dogs and seeing spirit within them in a different way, like very revering them. And there are those who respect humanity, but there are those who worship God. So this 5 system is actually mentioned originally by Shankaracharya. And these are known as the Pancha Upasana. And he says there are 5 standards of worship. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually mentions how this way of connection. So the topmost God worship is called Vaishnavam or Vaishnavism. And the human worship is called Shaivam, where one sees the most developed man to be like Lord Shiva, who's transcendent beyond everything. So they may worship Lord as yogis and siddhis and babas and so on. And then there's fetishism, for example, Ganapatyam, where a person wants to worship some divine, but in the form of animals or in trees or something like that. And then there's Shauryam, people who worship the element of sun. But again, now we are going down to a little more impersonal. There's no form, there's energy. And materialism, where one follows on the energy of the divine, which is called Shaktam. So this way, these are the examples or the names given for this. And of course, what is the lowest of all? At least these 5 are okay. There may be gradation, but what is the worst is avidyam, when one worships or have faith in ignorance, having faith in this body, having faith in the self, you know. So in one's own limited intelligence, limited prowess. So here we can see that our Sanatan Dharma teaches us to expand our faith, to grow our faith, level by level, slowly, with understanding, with faith, slowly develop your understanding to come to worship the Supreme Lord, which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to be called as Avyabhicharini Bhakti. This is resolute, complete understanding that the Supreme Personality is a Purna, complete, Purushottaman. He is a complete divine person. Person means he has a form. Person means he can reciprocate with you. Person means he can love you, understand you, speak with you, have pastimes with you. This is Purna Purushottam. So how the gradual expansion. This is very, very scientific, very, very nice development of consciousness, development of faith that is mentioned by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this is what is called as Avyabhicharini Yogi. Now, having given up the Supreme Person, if one worships anything else, that is considered Vyabhicharini. Sometimes here, sometimes there, unresolute. So therefore, the Jiva in this material world goes through this cycle of challenges of faith or development of faith many, many, many lifetimes. Right? We are being recycled in this material world. We are being recycled in this material world, on, off, up, down, to the degree that we do not develop our actual faith in God. So then we move on. Okay. Oops. So let's look at the purport of this verse that we are seeing, 14.26. What Srila Prabhupada has to say. Some points very interesting. So Srila Prabhupada writes, this verse is a reply to Arjuna's third question. What is the means of attaining the transcendental position? So Arjuna asked many questions, in the 8th chapter, like how is a developed person? How does he walk? How does he talk? What is his position? So Krishna answers one by one. And here especially he answers that how to attain that transcendental position. So Srila Prabhupada writes, as explained before, the material world is acting under the spell of the 3 modes of material nature: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Goodness, passion, ignorance. Everything we do is tainted by these 3 modes. Right? Everything we do. Morning, the day, the time of day, the subject, the food that we eat, the places that we go. Everything is tainted by these 3. goodness, passion, and ignorance, and a mix of it. Prabhupada writes a one good point. One should not be disturbed by these activities of the modes of nature. So generally in our life, we are always disturbed. Wake up in the morning, oh, my alarm bell didn't ring. I'm late for work. We start running. We start, getting anxiety. Oh, my car is not starting. Some tension comes. Oh, while we're walking on the LRT or whatever, we find some money. Oh, I'm so fortunate today. I found some cash on the road. So we are always constantly at a flux between happiness, distress, problems, and solutions and miseries and whatnot. We're always at a constant flux. That is life, because the three modes of material nature means they take us for a toss, just like waves in an ocean. But an actual devotee, one who practices bhakti, rises above the three modes, and he is not to be disturbed. So Prabhupada gives a very nice lesson here. Instead of putting, we can continue reading that, instead of putting consciousness into such activities, ayo, today this problem happened, this issue, this happening, this contradiction, this ups, down, this has happened, this will. Instead of putting the thought into that, transfer consciousness into Krishna's activities, because disturbances of life will constantly be going on, right? Just like in an ocean, the waves keep on going. We cannot say, wait. Let the waves stop, then I'll start thinking what to do. No, you have to follow the waves only, but try not to get disturbed by it. If you become disturbed by the waves, you get seasickness. If you learn to move with the waves, then you can overcome it. So all the problems in this life, all the conditions and setbacks and good or bad, whatever it may be, both, these are things that is happening, was happening, will continue to be happening. It is nothing new. But these are the things which take up our ROM, mental space, our thought processor. These are the things that in life we become so absorbed with, but we forget that we need to become absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So we should remember that this is nothing new. Any setbacks, any issues, any problems, it's not new. The only new thing in our life is bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada writes here that instead of putting your consciousness, instead of investing your head space, right, into such activities and such thoughts, better invest your time in developing your Krishna consciousness. Fights, arguments, setbacks, miseries, all will keep happening. Prabhupada then writes, Krishna's activities are known as Bhakti Yoga. So this now he comes to the second point. Always acting for Krishna. That is called Bhakti Yoga. This includes not only Krishna, but all his different other forms such as Rama and Narayan. These are all Vishnu Tattvas. One who is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna, any of his plenary expansions, is to be considered transcendently situated. Right? So here's second lesson. That we can see that, we can worship any form of the Lord here. Krishna is the most perfect form. The Prabhupada is saying that, we can become fully transcendental because all forms of the Lord, all Vishnu Tattvas are in potency equal. Next, such personalities of Godhead, because there's so many forms, are omnipotent and omniscient. The Lord can do anything, he knows everything. Omnipotent, omniscient. And they possess all transcendental qualities. So if one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his plenary expansions with unfailing determination, avyabhicharini, right? He can, although these modes are very difficult to overcome, actually this trigunam is very difficult. You can overcome them by the help of Krishna. So although we may say, don't worry about your problems, don't let it affect you, don't become overly disturbed. It's easy to say, but unless we practice bhakti, it's not easy to overcome. Right? So therefore, sorry. Yeah. So therefore, this gives us a lesson that a devotee who has a proper vision, right, they can live in this world without being overly affected by this world. Right? Our determination will be checked. Why do problems happen in our life? Why do setbacks happen? It's checking our determination, checking our degree of faith. So Srila Prabhupada continues that taking shelter of Krishna, that you can overcome Maya, this is already mentioned in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So for those who want to note, this is a shloka, it's 7.14. which says, Daiviyesha gunamai mama maya duratyaya mamevaya prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. One who has taken shelter of Krishna can cross over the ocean of material nature. Next, Prabhupada brings up a point that this is also very interesting, that Krishna is inviting you to a relationship with him, which is bhakti. That means that you and Krishna cannot be same, because it requires two people to make a relationship. You cannot make a relationship with yourself. It requires two different people. So therefore, it shows that the jiva is different from Paramatma. So the second paragraph here, Srila Prabhupada writes, the Lord says that his nature is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge, Satchidananda. And the living entities are part and parcel of him. There's a shloka in the 15th chapter which comes, Bhagavad Gita. Mamaivamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Prabhupada says, for example, just like gold particles are part of a gold mine, right? If you find a gold mine, let's say you find a gold mine, wow, you're so happy. Even if you find a gold particle, you'll be so happy because the gold is the same. Quantity may be different, but quality is the same, right? Therefore, the living entity in his spiritual position is as good as gold, as good as Krishna in quality. Wow, just imagine Prabhupada is saying, na, the jiva in a purified form is as good as God. So therefore, we cannot become God, but we can become godly or God-like. Same in quality, but he will always remain the gold mine and we will always remain a gold particle. So the difference of individuality continues. Otherwise, there is no question of bhakti. Bhakti means the Lord is there, the devotee is there, the activity of exchange of love between the Lord and devotee is there. How beautiful is bhakti? Therefore, bhakti is the topmost because you recognize the supreme person, God worship. You clearly see who you are, that we are Atma, we have nothing to do with this body. And our relationship with that Supreme Lord is that of loving exchange, loving service, unmotivated loving service. Therefore, the individuality of two persons is present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the individual person. Otherwise, there will be no meaning to Bhakti Yoga. And the second last paragraph, Srila Prabhupada writes, if one is not situated in the same transcendental position as the Lord, then you cannot be serving the Lord. Prabhupada gives an example. To be an associate of the king, to be a servant of the king, one must acquire qualifications, right? Especially for ministers, you'll see the ministers and all, or big film stars, who they hire as their PA or their bodyguards. You see people who are on top ranking, because the more top ranking they are, they'll hire top ranking people. Just like any company. So nowadays we have third party assessment or audits, financial audits. So if the company is very big, they'll hire some very costly auditors. And if the company is some small, enterprises or something like that, or some small, Chinaman shop or something, then he might just say, ask a simple chartered accountant to do it. But if someone is from a very big company, then they'll ask also a very big accounting firm to do auditing for them, isn't it? So the bigger a person is, even the assistants are very big. So similarly, Prabhupada is saying that Krishna, who are we serving? Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should also rise up to that platform. One should also have that eligibility. What is that eligibility? To become freed from material contamination. Because the Lord is pure, we also need to become pure to serve Him. Therefore, we are trying. We are all chanting every day. We are hearing the Shastras. We are associating with devotees. We want to take prasadam. As much as we can, we want to immerse our consciousness and our activities in Krishna consciousness, in serving Krishna, so that we also become qualified to actually serve the Lord. It is said in the literature, Vedic literature, Prabhupada quotes a Shruti mantra here, Brahmevasan Brahmapi Brahmevasan Brahmapi. If you want to serve Brahman, you have to be Brahman. Right? If you want to serve Brahman, you have to be Brahman. Brahmevasan Brahmyapi eti. So this means that one has to become that quality. So by attainment of Brahman, one does not lose one's identity. One just becomes pure as how God had intended it for us. So we can see from here in this first part of discussion, we saw the shloka Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Krishna says that he wants unalloyed, unfailing, loving devotional service onto him. And in such a way, right, the jiva becomes purified and the jiva thus can achieve a platform beyond the three modes. Someone may ask a question, why to come beyond the three modes? Because we read in the purport that the three modes is filled with problems. Always tension, worry, what will happen to me? Ayo, this suffering, ayo, that suffering. Isn't it? So much worry is there. Sometimes in ISKCON we joke, no? Why worry when there's hurry? Why to worry when there's hurry? Isn't it? So much problems come. And it's not that problems are going to stop. We know also. But by practicing bhakti, one can elevate oneself above these problems and get a higher intelligence. So that's what the section that we're seeing here now. And in that, we discuss there are different levels of faith, people having faith in this, having faith in that, moving on slowly, evolution of faith, until and unless they come to a very fortunate point of worshipping God in his true form, right? So now for this next part of our discussion, let's look at this, focus on this line. Sa gunan samatit yaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. We understood that from the gunas, from the modes of material nature, all our conceptions, all our problems, all our issues, all our likes and dislikes take birth, right? If a person is in tamogun, ignorance, oh, they love sleeping. Sleeping is a great activity for them, 12 hours, 15 hours, right? If someone is in rajogun, then, working very hard and shouting and fighting and sweating, and this is what makes them happy. And a person who's in sattvagun, clean, being peaceful, working smart, not so much extraneous, not so much, hard work, that makes them peaceful. So like this, the modes affect our nature, character, likes and dislike. And all of us throughout life are just being tossed based on likes and dislikes only. But we have to learn to come beyond that. Stop thinking about what is my likes, what is my dislike. Stop thinking about what makes me happy, what doesn't make me happy. Stop thinking about, what is a problem to me, what is a solution to me. But we should start thinking about what is actually Krishna's likes and dislikes, what is actually making Krishna happy, what actually is a problem or solution to Krishna. That is changing of consciousness. So I thought that we'll discuss one story which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. This comes in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 23, the story of an Avanti Brahmana. Avanti is a country, a city, which is modern day Ujjain in Madhya Pradesh in India. So there's a Brahmana here. It's a very nice, interesting story. So the background of the story is given of this Brahmana. Now this is in relation to our Sagunan, Samatityaitan, Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. How a person does Avyabhicharini Bhakti and he rises above the dualities of this world. So this Avanti Brahmana is a young Brahmana, but he was engaged in agriculture. That means farming, right? Growing something on the field. And he was also a merchant. He used to sell whatever he grew. But this Avanti Brahmana was a very greedy person, right? He was a very miserly person, so stingy, so loke, as they say in Malay, right? He is so stingy and so greedy, and he was always prone to anger. Now, if a person is a businessman and is very greedy, it's very horrible for the people around him, isn't it? He's always so selfish, always angry. He earns a lot but doesn't want to spend anything, right? No one likes such a miserly person, such a stingy person. So slowly but surely, all his family members, his wife, his sons, his daughters, his relatives, everyone, they got no enjoyment from him. Why? When they come to him, Papa, we want this. Cannot afford. I don't like, cannot. So when he starts doing like this, they can see that he's earning well, but he's such a miser and he's so greedy and is always shouting and angry and scolding and criticizing and looking down on others and just shooting and this and that. Everyone has some limits also, that how much can a person take criticism, isn't it? So sometimes people say, I'm being angry for your own good. Oh my God. Yeah, but your anger is not for my good, it's killing me. right? So slowly they started to become unaffectionate towards him. This is an effect actually. Sometimes people wonder, I'm giving so much love. I'm caring for everyone. I'm doing everything for everyone. But why nobody is thinking about me? Stop, 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 stop. Whoa, 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 wait, wait. Probably need to look back at what you said. You feel you're doing so much for others, but they are not accepting. Probably you're not doing something which they appreciate or they like, or you're doing it in a wrong way. You know, this is sometimes like people say, forceful charity. I want to help you, accept my help. Or the person say, I don't want anything from you. So this guy was like this, and slowly the Avanti Brahmana, his relatives start to become unaffectionate to him. They started avoiding him. But just see the stroke of providence. One day, providence have to had it that providence, Daiva, took away all his wealth and possessions. And naturally, already this man has bad nature, bad character. Now a person bereft of position, bereft of power, bereft of influence, bereft of everything. What happens? Everyone around him abandoned him, left him, right? And now this Avanti Brahmana is hit with a very heavy realization, very heavy, understanding of life. My God, the people who I think I was earning for, I thought I was protecting, I thought I was looking after in my way, in my style, may have been offensive, but that is the way I work. Slowly, what happened? They left me. Everyone left me. And he started to develop a deep sense of renunciation. What is the use of this world? So much money I have, everything gone in a blink of an eye. Beautiful friends and relatives, I could not appreciate them, everything gone in a blink of an eye. And he started meditating. How useless is this wealth? Huh? What's the point of all this money? So in Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm not going to read out this section. Those of you who are interested, you can message me, or the admin of BJKL can message me, and I'll send you the shloka. But he meditates on 15 different unwanted headaches because of wealth. Because of money, 15 dosham, 15 bad points will happen. So I'm just going to go through them very quickly. Because you have money, there will be thievery. Someone will try to steal. Because of money, there will be violence. Right? Someone will envy you, try to kill you, hurt you. Because of money, there'll be lying. Right? People will lie. And because of money, there'll be deception. People try to cheat you. Because of money, there'll be lust. Right? A person who has money, he feels that, I can get this, I can buy that, I can do this, I can do anything. Because there is money, there is anger. Person feels I'm powerful. Because of money, there is pride. That person becomes so proud. Sometimes they say even a pauper is proud of his penny, isn't it? So even a penny can make you proud. Because of money, there is feverishness. There's always demam. Feverishness means Malay demam. There's always a demam. Nak lagi, tak dapat, kat mana. I want some more, where to get, how to get. You start thinking there's a feverishness, a kind of different fever. Because of money, there's disagreement. You will not accept, you will always disagree. Because of money, there is hatred. You will like something, you will don't like something. Because of money, there's distrust. Because of money, there is conflict. Because of money, there's attachment to the opposite gender. I mean, sense enjoyment. Because of money, sense, you want to, a person becomes desirous or want to enjoy. Because of money, there is gambling. How I can make more money by putting money. Because of money, there is intoxication. When a person just intoxicates in so many different kinds of addictions. So like this, he was meditating, and in his heart, in his meditation, somehow he could understand that Lord Hari, Bhagavan, who's the Paramatma, he has given me this realization because Lord is happy with me. Right? God is happy with me, therefore he has given me this most powerful realization of the reality of this world. Right? Therefore, he could see things which are considered unfavorable in his life, but actually they were very, very favorable for his spiritual life. He understood that everything taken from me, but I can see the vices of all these things. And therefore, in this detachment, he was actually start to think how I can perfect my life now. He start perfecting, how I can perfect my life. So he was determined to engage in the worship of the Lord, and he accepted a sannyasi life. He accepted a renunciation life. And therefore, later he would go to different villages and beg, bhikshu. He would go to different villages and beg and, for alms to sustain his life. And in that, in begging charity, people would harass him, people would disturb him, people would trouble him, and he could see the reality of this world. But he was not disturbed. He was very fixed, like a mountain. Not fixed. Sometimes heavy rain, mountain stays like this. Thunderstorm, mountain remains like this. So in this practice only, he started singing one Gita, which is known as Bhikshu Gita. Bhikshu means beggar. This comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, also very beautiful realizations. So we just look at two shlokas. First is the condition of Avanti Brahmana. So this is 22nd chapter, 58-59 verse. How was the condition of this Avanti Brahmana when he was going from place to place? It is mentioned, Shipto, Avamanito. That means Shipto means people neglected him, people looked down on him. Let's look at the translation. Even though neglected, insulted, ridiculed, envied by bad men, repeatedly agitated, being beaten, tied up, deprived of one's occupation, spat upon, or polluted by urine by ignorant people. People actually urinated on him. One who desires the highest goal of life, in spite of all difficulties, should use one's intelligence to keep himself safe on a spiritual platform. So Srimad Bhagavatam shows the extremes of all difficulties, right? We may have people who do not agree with us, but we don't get people who spit on us, isn't it? One time, I remember in the pastimes of one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples in ISKCON, His Holiness Indravana Swami Maharaj, when he was preaching in the ex-Soviet areas. I think it was in Bosnia, I think, when the war area. So some freedom fighters or whatever, terrorists or whatever they were, they started to attack this Harinam Sankirtan party. And like that, they hurt some devotees. They were in the hospital. So Maharaj was in the hospital looking at the devotees, and suddenly these goons, they entered the hospital. And Maharaj saw them and said, oh, they come here to attack, to kill off, to finish off what they started. But it's a government hospital, so they were also afraid. And they came close to Maharaj's face. They looked at him with anger in the face. And he did a very long and spit in the face of Maharaj, sannyasi. And Maharaj is not an ordinary person. In his Purva ashram, he was a US Marine. Okay, before he was a sannyasi, he was a US Marines. Right, he could finish the guy off also. But he just clenched his fist and kept calm, tolerated, and just wiped off the sweat with his hand and handkerchief. So it's difficult, if someone mistreats us, belittles us, insults us, ridicules us, urines on us. Can you imagine? But here the Avanti Brahmana wanted to show that he was not bothered by this duality of these worlds. Right? He, as much as he was disturbed when he had money, he should not become disturbed when he had no money. So he was focused on his worship to Hari. All these things will keep happening. People will call you bald, people will call you by any name. But we should be very firm and fixed using our spiritual intelligence. So this was his condition. It's a beautiful lesson. What was his conclusion after going around, people troubling him, disturbing him, this and that? Oh, it's a beautiful conclusion. This is seen in the next chapter, 23rd chapter. At the end of the chapter, in this Bhikshu Gita, the song of the Avanti Brahmana, he speaks this verse. So Dvija Uvacha, Dvija means Brahmana. Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu na devatatma graha karma kala manah param karanamamananti samsara chakram parivartayet. So he says that Nayam jano me sukha dukkha hetu. I do not see the cause of my happiness or distress. I do not blame anyone. Nayam jano me. I do not say that he is the cause of my happiness. Or I don't say that she is the cause of my distress. I don't point the finger to anyone. Troubles come, happiness comes, I don't point the finger to anyone. Nayam Janome, no person. Na Devatatma, nor do I blame the Devatas. Oh, I'm having Rahu. Oh, I'm having Shani. Shani is not happy with me. Rahu is not happy with me. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming any person. I'm not blaming any Devata. Na Graha, I'm not blaming any planets. Na Karma, I'm not blaming my karma also. Na Kalaha, I'm not blaming time also. I understand the only reason I'm perceiving happiness, distress, likes, and dislikes is because Mana Param Karanam. Mana hai Param Karanam. The Param Karanam. The main reason is Mana. My mind is the only cause of all happiness, distress, likes, dislikes. Simple example. Now you're very happy, someone gives you ice cream. Wow, you're eating ice cream, you're happy, so nice, shala. And then suddenly, let's say results come out and you fail some subjects in university or whatever. And then someone says, hey, come la macha, take ice cream la. That same ice cream, wonderful flavor, but now it has no taste only. What has happened? You liked ice cream before, isn't it? Why doesn't that ice cream appeal to you now? Because mind is disturbed. Right? So, mana param karanam amananti. I consider mind to be the pivot. And this because of this mind, samsara chakram parivartayet. We are stuck in this recycling chakra, looking for likes, dislikes, looking for happiness, avoiding distress. Because of this, our mind is stuck in this rotation. And therefore, we are always just caught up with fighting against everyday waves. But we forgot we need to transcend these waves. If someone stands in the ocean, one wave comes, pa, another wave comes, pa, another wave comes, pa, wow, I'm defeating all waves. How long will you keep punching? Foolish, get out of the ocean. So samsara is an ocean. This cycle of birth and death, this existence in this material world is like an ocean. Somehow or other, some good waves will come which will take you up. Some bad waves will come which will drown you. Life is like this only. But we should not take it seriously. Do not invest your mental space, your mental peace. Do not invest your RAM, ROM, right? Your hard disk, whatever it is. Do not invest in these things, but invest it in worshipping Hari. And Krishna promises one who does this investment naturally, sagunan samatityaitan, rise above. Just like we have heard, we have no experience, but we have heard about quicksand. Quicksand. So if someone falls into quicksand, they say that the first thing you should do is don't struggle. Relax. Make your body light. Relax. And you will float to the top. But if the more you struggle, the faster you will sink. So in this material world also, we are struggling. We are struggling, trying to fight the waves. Oh, why she did like this? Why he said like this? But instead, we have to invest the consciousness in the positive, which is bhakti. There will be no end with the problems and disturbances and headaches and gossips and whatnot in this world. So do not invest your attention there, but invest in avyabhicharini bhakti yogena sevate. Be focused. Here, Avanti Brahmana says, I do not blame anyone. What's the use of pointing finger? Oh, this person is the enemy. This person is my friend. Oh, this deva is not favorable to me. This deva, let me be favorable. Oh, this graham is against me. Oh, my karmas are against me. Oh, the kalas. Why are we blaming? Stop blaming. Mind is the pivot. Change this. Change your consciousness. Therefore, our whole movement is called Krishna consciousness. How important is this word? Krishna consciousness. To be conscious of Krishna constantly. That, like the struggling quicksand, we stop struggling. Automatically, we get lifted above the quicksand. Right? So, to conclude, in this today's discussion about how bhakti liberates, we can see 3 points that we should always pray for fearless bhakti, because bhakti is so powerful, but sometimes the problem comes when we become very fearful to practice bhakti, right? Fearless bhakti is that, abhayam. One actually feels, what's wrong? Let me practice. What is wrong? Sometimes we feel so afraid. Oh, what will people think of me? What will my husband or wife or children think of me? What will my friends think of me? What will my parents think about me? We become so fearful, What will society think of me? But we should learn that bhakti is so powerful from the Shastras here. It will rise you above these modes. So one should not become fearful of it. Oh, how will I live if I become vegetarian? Oh, what will I eat if I become vegetarian or if I start eating only prasadam? Krishna, will you give me food? Krishna is giving food to the whole universe. Why will he not give you food? Right? So we should pray that can my bhakti be fearless? Because now we are so fearful of everything. Want to wear tilak, scared. Want to chant Hare Krishna in public, scared. Right? Want to commit ourselves to the movement of Krishna consciousness, to the mission of Srila Prabhupada, to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are scared. Maybe not now, La Prabhu. After 20 years, I'll think about it. So we should pray for fearless bhakti. Give me fearless bhakti, that I can actually practice bhakti without any fear, without any reservation. Second, pray for unflinching bhakti. Unflinching bhakti means what? Now I'm doing good, I'm practicing. Suddenly something comes and I'm like thrown off track. Oh, I remember recently three girls were going on a bike, right? Three girls were going on a bike, and the center girl was sitting in India. You find triple seaters like that, so don't be too shocked. So the center girl is a devotee. She's chanting. The other two girls, her friends, they are not devotees. So somehow the bike hits something, not very serious, hits something and they fall down. The first girl, zero injuries. The last girl, zero injuries. The middle girl, who is our devotee chanting, she gets some bruise on her knees. And she's looking at her friends and she's thinking, why Krishna? I'm the one chanting your holy name. Why Krishna? I'm your devotee. Why are you punishing me? What did I do to deserve this? Why didn't you protect me? So see how her bhakti has become flinched? Seeing a setback. When they were cruising nicely, that time she didn't think, Krishna, you're so wonderful. I get to cruise on a bike. But when something happened, immediately point the finger to Krishna. Hey. So this is what we should pray for. Unflinching bhakti. Problems will come. We do not become flinch. We do not become taken away by happiness nor distress. Whatever condition, we will constantly always continue our sadhana and worship Krishna. Right? And third, we should pray for pure bhakti. This is also very important. Bhakti sometimes become covered by what? The desire for name, fame, prestige, puja, labha, pratishta. People want to become famous. They want to become appreciated. Respect me, love me, acknowledge me, right? Listen to me. Me. That's not bhakti. That's not pure devotion. Right? Pure devotion means you want to serve others with no expectation. So sometimes we forget that we have to check our own devotion. Why am I so unhappy? Why am I upset? Because I'm not practicing pure bhakti. My bhakti is mixed. I have some expectation that I am now a big devotee or I'm already devoted to Krishna. So I expect something. And these expectations make us frustrated. Pure bhakti is I just want to be the servant of Krishna. So three things we can pray for: fearless bhakti, unflinching bhakti, and pure bhakti. This way, when we really practice bhakti, slowly but surely, we will rise above the flux of the three moods. If we are still being disturbed by this way of the world, how the world is going, if we are unable to use our spiritual intelligence to try to come out of it, then maybe the practice of bhakti is not pure enough, right? Maybe it is not unflinching faith. Maybe it is not fearless bhakti. So we should work on it and try to develop by the mercy of Vaishnavas, by the mercy of the Lord, by mercy of our parampara, and of course, Srila Prabhupada, that we can develop what is pure devotional service. So we like to stop here. And if there's any questions or something for discussion, we can take it up. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your Grace's busy schedule to share this enlightening knowledge with us. We deeply appreciate your Grace's effort and association. Now, Prabhus and Mataji, since we have time, You may type your questions in your chat box or alternatively unmute yourself and ask the questions to.
So there's one question, if you don't mind me reading. Avyabhicharena uncontaminated bhakti. Can we pray to the Lord in mixed bhakti, like artha, artha, arti, and eventually get liberated? So if you worship the Lord in mixed bhakti, you will not get prema, you will not get love. You may get liberation, you may get Brahman, some of the muktis, you may go to Vaikuntha, or you may get something lesser, but we understand that it's a very selfish thing in one sense. So Krishna, especially Lord Chaitanya, has come to give us the topmost, which is, pure devotion, where one enjoys pure bliss. Why to mix it? Like if I ask you, you like eating sweet rice, right? Would you like sweet rice, pure sweet rice, or little mixed with some sand particles? Little, not much. 1, 2 sand particles. Even if there's one sand particle in the sweet rice, it spoils the whole sweet rice. So why do we want to think even about mixed bhakti? Artha, artha, arti, whether we are desperate, whether we need money, that all Krishna will handle. That faith we should have. So much things he's been handling, isn't it? So try to see how the Lord is always with us. He knows what is best for us. Krishna is real. Krishna is alive. Another question comes: how do we understand if circumstantial detachment, like poverty, can lead to genuine bhakti or not? Lead to genuine adoption of bhakti, or is just a sign of helplessness when one turns to bhakti only because there is no other option? Yes. So generally, people will not turn to bhakti because of some material circumstance. Here in the story of the Avanti Brahmana, somehow or other he got some inspiration from his heart. Now, who is this Avanti Brahmana is not revealed. His backstory is not revealed. But in commentaries of Acharyas, it's mentioned that he is who this Brahmana is. Actually, he's an expansion of the Lord called Dattatreya, this Avanti Brahmana. So he's of course a very special category. Now, in general, poverty or suffering does not lead to bhakti. Only by the association of a devotee practicing pure bhakti can one get the desire for bhakti. So therefore, a person may be poor means he's a little more favorable, little more receptive. Probably in my area where I'm in the village, we have a lot of poor people, but they're not very favorable because they're absorbed in their own pride, in their own intoxication. So it may not necessarily be, but it's helpful, definitely. But association is needed. How can we measure karma? That goes against Bhagavad Gita because Krishna says you cannot measure karma. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that gahana karmana gati, that the movement of karma is very difficult to understand. Uh, he says that, what's this? Vibhotavyam, bhotavyam cha vikarmana. He says that you should know what is karma, vikarma, and akarma. Just know what is good, what you should do, what you should not do, and what activities which will free you from karma. You can't measure karma. It's such a complex permutation, combination, such a coding that, it's just so much of that's difficult to understand. Right? So we don't want to measure karma. We just want to do bhakti, which burns karma in a blink of an eye. That's easier.
Looks like we have no other questions, Prabhu. So with
Okay.
that, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you, Your Grace, once again, and we look forward to meeting you in the next class again, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhus and Matajis. Thank you for joining us today. We will see you again in the next class with a different topic. All glories to the Lordship Sri Lakshmi Narayana. All glories to Sri Radha Madhava Ashtasakis. All glories to Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. All glories to Sri Sri Gauranitai. All glories to Sampradaya Acharyas. All glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.